can't just treat me like shit and then just... fuck it.
Let's watch another one. Alright, I think most of us can relate to this situation, especially in today's time and age, because when I saw these, I was reminded of a time in my life, and trust me, I'm not super proud of it either, when I thought that being in a situationship is the same thing as being patient in love. Yeah, that version of me, she still lives in my camera. And she had no idea she was being played. So obviously, of course, like any normal person would, I spiraled into this research rabbit hole. Because if I've suffered, at least let it be enlightening, right? And what I found were these tiny tricks, subtle manipulation, and mind games that people play that the internet loves calling as the ultimate weapon. Now, I'm not sure if I would call dark psychology as the ultimate weapon, because according to science, it can be the worst or the best thing, depending on how you use it, or if you just let other people use it against you mindlessly. So welcome to the theater inside your mind, where the mind games are already playing out behind the curtains. And today, we'll talk about how these work, why these work, and also how you can protect yourself against them, or even use it to your advantage. Who knows? So grab a snack, get comfy, and let's get curious. You know what's actually creepier than someone stalking you? Them becoming you. Yeah. Now here's where things might get a little bit tricky, so let me explain. There are actually two different versions of this whole copying thing that humans do. The first one is the unconscious kind, the chameleon effect. That is the one that we all do without even thinking about it. Like when you hang out with your friend long enough and then you start copying their expressions or sitting the way they sit, it's all unconscious and it's our brain's way of bonding. Totally normal, totally harmless, just helps you socialize with people. But then there's this unconscious kind, mimicry, and this one is calculated. It's done more intentionally and like I'm going to observe you, copy you, and use it to get closer to you. People who are high on narcissism, psychopathy, or just manipulative in general use this tactic to get closer to you. They'll match your opinion, your hobbies, the way you talk, sometimes even the way you dress, and maybe even your energy. And trust me, at first, it feels magical. Like, wow, I think I finally found my soulmate. Girl, it's just probably a tactic to break down your walls and slip into your trust. Okay, but why does it work? This is why. Your brain is wired to trust familiarity. So when someone mirrors you back to yourself, you feel safe, you feel comforted, you feel like you've known them forever. Meanwhile, in reality, they're just stealing your identity and selling it back to you. And the longer you're in it, the harder it becomes to understand where you end and they begin. So how do you protect yourself? Well, if someone feels a little too perfect, like they're synced up with every joke you make, every opinion you have, even the way you talk, that's when you stop and ask yourself, does this feel like natural chemistry to me? Or are they just my mimic at this point? Because honey, the discomfort you're feeling, it's probably just your intuition doing its job. So pause and listen to it. Okay, tell me if this sounds familiar to you. You go out on a few dates with someone, you like them, they like you back. They constantly text you like non-stop, showering you with attention, making you feel like they just can't get enough of you. And then one random day, they stop. No texts, no replies, no show-ups, just silence. And instead of being turned off by this disrespect, you just feel like you miss them even more. Searching for answers, checking your phone to see if they come back. And when they come back, if they do, you talk about your feelings. You maybe even tell them how hurt you are. But then you realize that now you're hooked to them, like more than ever. You just can't leave their side anymore. Now, isn't that what your situationships have looked like? But here's why it happens. Your brain hates contradictions. So when you believe that the relationship was going extremely well, but now their behavior shows something otherwise, your brain is confused. It gets looped into this thing called cognitive dissonance, basically a perception clash. Now what happens is, to make sense of all of this, your brain grabs onto the highs, that is the attention they give you, to justify the lows, that is when they ghost you. That is why toxic back and forth couples seem glued to each other. It's not so much passion as it's confusion and fear. Now, there are many different reasons why people choose to ghost their partners or their friends, and if you want me to talk about it, let me know in the comments. I'll make a separate video on that. But for now, to answer the question, why does this work? It is unpredictable. You never know when you'll get the next hit of attention, so you just keep chasing it. But that chase, that isn't romance, is it? So the next time you find yourself in such a situationship, notice if it feels like a drug withdrawal when they're gone. And if it does, it is not really love. In fact, it is actually high time you reevaluate if what you feel is actually love or just mere addiction to chaos. Because real safety in love, it does not feel confusing. In fact, it actually feels like boredom at first, until you realize eventually that it was just peace. Now imagine this at work, okay? You're in a meeting with your supervisor, you propose an idea to them, a very smart idea by the way, and they just say something that makes you question your entire idea. And then they just go, now that is strategic silence, a power move to make you fold first. And this could be used in so many different situations. For example, you get into a disagreement with your colleague and now they start excluding you in every single thing. They ice you out. No emails, no discussions, no invites, nothing. You feel excluded from every decision that matters. Research shows that this kind of ostracism makes people feel insulted, excluded, and even question their self-worth. And what's worse, your body reacts to this as if you've been physically hurt. This is why it cuts sharper than any verbal insult. So why does it work in the first place? Because human brain is wired to connect. And when someone withholds that connection from you, you feel excluded. You start spiraling. What did I do? Did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? How can I make this better? And now they hold the power, not you. They do. And when it's repeated in relationships, experts call it for what it really is. That is emotional abuse. So here's how to protect yourself. The next time someone does this to you, stop treating their silence like a puzzle you need to solve. If it is strategic silence, let the silence sit, make them squirm. And if it is silent treatment, recognize for what it is. That is manipulation, and refuse to play. Because honey, silence might be their weapon, but detachment, that is yours. Now, I'm pretty sure you experienced this at least once in your life. When someone just said something to you and it feels like a compliment at first, but then a few seconds later, you're like, wait, did they just insult me? Yeah, that is negging. You're pretty for someone who doesn't even try. Or, wow, you're smarter than you look. They're just backhanded compliments, or might I say, insults disguised as compliments. And they're basically a way to chip at your confidence and make you start craving validation from the same person who just tore you down 5 seconds ago. And research has found that women who were negged ended up feeling even more insecure of themselves, less attractive, and worst of all, they're more likely to tolerate attention they didn't even want in the first place.
Look at that slit. You've never seen jogging pants with a slit that goes that far up.
Coming from a guy in a t-shirt and baseball hat, you know this is going to be bad because he is throwing shade with his very first compliment.
This is what I've been waiting for forever. Now you know this fits. Your hair can look like this. Your makeup can look like this. And you don't have to wear oversized sweatshirts and coveralls.
But do you know why it is that she is apparently so busy that she can never find the time to do her hair or put her makeup on or, get dressed in something other than jogging pants? Because you seem to think it's a problem that she can't find that time, but I don't think you've stopped to ask yourself what she's doing with her time, but she is no doubt doing for you.
Is this a compliment or a roast?
Oh, it is 100% a roast. These aren't compliments. This is negging. He is using pickup artist coercion tactics against his own wife. And this is a strategy of controlling somebody's behavior.
Now that's not romance again, unlike what some people believe. And why does it work? Again, because it's confusing. It messes with your head. It sounds like a compliment, so you feel flattered for a second. And when it hits you that it was actually an insult, you feel even more insecure about yourself. So the next time a comment makes you doubt yourself, while they say, "Oh, but it's just a compliment," do not gaslight yourself into thinking, "Wow, they like me. They're so attracted to me." They're probably just trying to control you by manipulating your need for validation. Do not fall for that, unless you want some trouble later. Your choice. I remember in my childhood, my classmate once forgot their pen. So, of course, I lent them mine. The next week, same thing happened again. So, of course, I lent them my pen. But a week later, I started feeling closer to them. Like, I started telling people I know that person, even though we barely talked. Now I understand that it was just the Ben Franklin effect. Simply put, back in 1969, researchers found that when people did someone a favor, they started liking them even more. And this shows up everywhere. Like that coworker who always wants you to just take a quick look at their work, or that friend of yours who somehow makes their emotional tragedies a part of your day. Okay, but why does this work? As we already know by now, our brain cannot stand contradictions. So when we help someone, not only do we think, "Oh, now they owe us," but we also think, why did we help them in the first place? Why? So to clear that confusion, our brain goes like, if we help them, we must like them. Because it has to make sense, right? It has to make sense. Come on. So yeah, it's really important to remember that when people ask you for help, it's mostly normal, and helping them when they ask you for a favor is really sweet. But here's where you draw the line. If the favors start feeling repetitive, constant, one-sided, like they're sort of pulling you into a closeness or an intimacy that you did not ask for, notice that. I mean, do the favor if you want. Go ahead, help them if you want. If this is the case, it's best to be careful, right? Anyway, that's it from me today. Protect your time, protect your space, protect your energy, and do not fall in love with someone just because they asked you to carry their water bottle. Also remember that if you can call a mind game for what it is, you don't have to fall for it. So if this gave you chills, made you laugh, or reminded you of that walking red flag from 2023, do like this video, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments below if you want me to talk about any other dark psychology, mind games, and I will make another video on that. Stay curious, stay aware, stay connected, and I'll see you in the next one.